I quote Mahatma Gandhi, "Freedom is never dear at any price. It is the breath of life. What would a man not pay for living?" I unquote. The Indian struggle for independence was a lengthy and an exhausting one. This gives us a stronger reason for a bigger celebration of independence every year on 15th August. On this day, all Indians paid their tribute to the freedom fighters and the countrymen for the relentless and astounding struggle and sacrifices for the freedom of our country. Our national leaders not only gave an impetus to the dreams of Indians which yearned to be free, but also took a staunch stand for those dreams which the country truly believed in. They sacrificed their own wings to encourage the aspirations of Indians. They taught humanity that true freedom comes from one's inner self. They taught people to be fearless when it came to being fearful. As Rabindranath Tagore has rightly said, "Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls." All these great leaders defined the true meaning of being fearless by setting an example. A very good morning to everyone present here. Hoping that all of you are geared up with a feeling of patriotic ecstasy and exhilaration to celebrate our glorious and majestic 75th Independence Day. Jawaharlal Nehru once said, "The national flag of India is not only a flag of freedom for ourselves, but a symbol of freedom to all people." The Indian tricolor represents the inspirations, hopes, and pride of the Indians. The saffron color represents courage and sacrifice, while white represents truth, peace, and purity. The green color of the flag denotes prosperity, while the Ashok Chakram represents the laws of Dharma. It was first hoisted on August 7, 1906 at Parsi Bagan Square in Calcutta. It consisted of 3 horizontal strips of green, yellow, and red. Now that we know the significance of our national flag, we move on to the flag hoisting and national anthem to commemorate the beginning of this joyous day, the Day of Independence. I request all to rise.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Please be seated. The pandemic taught us to be grateful for everything in life and every day which we get to spend on this earth. It also taught us the importance of our beloved ones and the strength and courage they provide, which makes us rock solid and brave enough to face all kinds of circumstances that might cross our path. But most importantly, it taught us the power of spirituality and the gravity of powers, not only in healing, but also in nourishing and boosting our inner self. Now let us begin the celebration of this blissful day by invoking the blessings of the Almighty. As we all know, when the problem is mighty and your strength is not enough for it, don't get tensed, because where your strength gives up, from there the Almighty's grace starts.
नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात्. This is my offering to Lord Narayana, who is present at all his creations. I meditate to the son of Vasudeva, who is pervasive. Let the omnipresent Lord inspire us. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amrutangamaya. Lead us from the unreal to real. Lead us from the darkness to light. Lead us from the death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة ونخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو الأصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. The most merciful taught the Quran, created man and taught him eloquence. The sun and the moon move by precise calculations, and the heaven he raised and imposed the balance, that you not transgress within the balance, and establish weight in justice, and do not make deficient the balance. And the earth he laid out for the creatures, therein is fruit and palm trees with sheets of dates, and grain with husks and scented plants. So which of the favors of your Lord would you deny?
A reading from the book of Psalms, chapter 92, verses 1 to 4. How good it is to give thanks to you, Lord, to sing in your honor, O Most High God, to proclaim your constant love every morning and your faithfulness every night, with the music of stringed instruments and with melody on the harp. Your mighty deeds, O Lord, make me glad. Because of what you have done, I sing for joy.
Thank you. I would now like to request Akash to resonate the note of welcome.
I salute all the freedom fighters who have sacrificed their lives for the country, and even to the soldiers who are still protecting us by leaving their families and friends. They are the real heroes because of whom we are free from the British rulers like a free bird. Words can't express the sacrifice that they have made for us. A very good morning to one and all present here. I'm Akash M. from Class 10C. Today is a historic day in the history of our country. On this day, 15th August 1947, we got independence from the British. This day reminds us of our true worth and importance as a freedom-loving brave nation. We salute those warriors, leaders, and freedom fighters of us who did a remarkable job to gift us a free and beloved country. We are an independent, progressive, and powerful country of the world today. We are a very respected and nuclear power country. Our youths are leading the world in the technology, engineering, and medicine. Furthermore, we have the world's largest democracy. May the tricolor fly incredibly high. I deem it my honor to welcome all the dignitaries, teachers, and my dear friends to this occasion. I would like to welcome Dr. Nisar Ahmed, the chairman of the Presidency Group of Institutions and the Chancellor of Presidency University. We welcome you, sir. I take pleasure in welcoming Ms. Kausar Ahmed, the Director Administration of the Presidency Group of Institutions. I take immense pleasure in welcoming Mr. Suhail Ahmed, the Vice Chairman of the Presidency Group of Institutions. I heartily welcome Ms. Nafisa Ahmed, the Director of the Presidency Group of Institutions. I feel privileged to welcome Mr. Salman Ahmed, the Vice President of the Presidency University. I heartily welcome Mr. Tanveer Ahmed, CEO of Mitra Academy and Little Flower School. I take immense pleasure in welcoming Mr. Satyanarayan, the Management Representative. I feel privileged to welcome Mr. Shah, the Management Trustee. I heartily welcome Ms. Aziza Isa, Senior General Manager, Office of Director, Presidency Group of Institutions. I take pleasure in welcoming Dr. Tangadurai, Director of Presidency Group of Schools and Principal of Presidency School, Kasturi Nagar. I heartily welcome Ms. Bhuvneshwari, Director and Principal of Presidency School, Billekhalli, and Director, Presidency School, Mangalore, and Presidency School, Bangalore South. I feel privileged to welcome Ms. Susan Roy Thomas, Principal of St. Paul's English School, JP Nagar. I take immense pleasure in welcoming Ms. Asha Maika, Principal of Presidency School, RT Nagar. I heartily welcome Mr. Ramesh Mudgal, Principal, Presidency School, Yelahanka. I feel privileged to welcome Ms. Sandhya Raman, Principal, Presidency School, Banashankari. I take pleasure in welcoming Ms. Shaila, Principal, Presidency School, Mangalore. I extend my warm welcome to our respected Principal, Mr. Jayaprakash, who has kept us motivated all the time. We will continue to work hard under your guidance, sir. It is my pleasure to heartily welcome our coordinators, Nagmani ma'am, Shanti ma'am, and Yamini ma'am to this ebullient occasion. Hope your blessings stay with us forever. With great fervor, I would like to welcome our beloved teachers to this blissful occasion. Lastly, I welcome all my dear friends to this exuberant occasion celebrating our freedom. We seek your encouragement and cooperation in making this program a successful one. Let this pandemic not stop us from remembering the glorious past of the independent India. At this juncture, I want to thank the efforts of all the Corona warriors. All those healthcare workers, doctors, and nurses have worked tirelessly to serve the nation. Many have even lost their lives. The nation salutes them. Let's do our role in making our nation a self-reliant one. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Akash. I would like to quote Aldous Huxley. After silence, that which comes nearest to expressing the inexpressible is music. I unquote. Where words can't express, music does. It is the essence which not only gives us memories to look back and smile at, but also makes us experience something which is beyond normal bliss. Music played a very influential role in the Indian independence by inspiring and igniting the patriotic sentiment among masses and creating great awareness among the people for gaining knowledge about the importance of independence by its striking and motivating verses. I would now like to call upon Rishita Kedugim, Sanjeev Roshan, Mohammad Rahimuddin, and Tushar Edi Rao to make us experience what we call melody. Thank you, friends, that did arouse a great sense of patriotism in all our hearts. Karo ya maro, do or die, said Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation, on the 7th of August 1942 in the All India Congress Committee at Mumbai's Gowalia Tank, a day before the Quit India movement, demanding complete end of the British rule in India. The slogan has so much energy and power contained in it that even to this day, after 75 years of independence, it still has the ability to activate every inch of patriotism inside the body of an individual. It was this very determination, patriotism and courage which made the citizens of India protest against the British in large numbers even when their leaders were in jail. The Quit India movement started on August 9, 1942, and since then, the day is celebrated as the August Kranti Divas. Now let us dig deeper into the same. Over to class 10 for the Quit India movement presentation.
During the Quit India movement, India saw the rise of several nationalist leaders, some of them prominent, making their names in the history books, and many more unsung heroes whose sacrifices and toil are seldom discussed. From class 10D, Abhinav, Samrudh, Shravan, and me, Tushar, will try our best to do justice to the numerous leaders who shone during the Quit India movement, and in doing so, highlight the struggles of those who secured for us the free land that we are on today. Mahatma Gandhi. A prominent figure in Indian politics, Mahatma Gandhi is considered to be the man who called for the Quit India movement. During the Second World War, when the British Empire was at odds with Nazi Germany, Gandhi initially believed that whatever support the empire would receive from the Indian side would have to be given unconditionally and of a non-violent character. However, Gandhi later abandoned his stance, deciding to launch a short-term, limited civil disobedience campaign, in which the prominent advocates for Indian independence would participate, one by one. Mahatma Gandhi officially announced the Quit India movement on the 8th of August 1942. We can say that Gandhiji foresaw the inevitability of the movement when he raised the clarion call of do or die. We shall either free India or die in the attempt. We shall not live to see the perpetuation of our slavery, Mahatma Gandhi said in his speech. Within hours of this address, top leaders of the INC were arrested. At this point in time, Gandhiji urged the Indians to act like a united, independent nation and not to give in to the orders of the British. Aruna Asaf Ali. Aruna Asaf Ali is proudly known as the Grand Old Lady of Indian independence. After the Quit India resolution was passed by the Indian National Congress on August 8, 1942, almost all prominent leaders of the INC were arrested. At that instance, it was Aruna Asaf Ali who led the remainder of the Indian National Congress to hoist the Congress flag at Gowalia Tank Maidan, a moment which marked the beginning of the Quit India movement. Even in the face of British fire, she stood strong. In the absence of Mahatma Gandhi and other prominent nationalist leaders, Aruna Asaf Ali led the Indian National Congress through the remainder of the movement. An arrest warrant was then issued in her name, but she went into hiding, where she edited the Inqilab, a magazine of the Congress Party. Even though Mahatma Gandhi himself urged her to surrender, saying that she had done her duty for the movement, she only came out of hiding once the arrest warrant was withdrawn in 1946.
Rash Bihari Bose. This is the story of one of India's many unsung heroes, Rash Bihari Bose. He was an Indian revolutionary who fled from India to live in Japan, where he set up the Indian Independence League with the support of Indians living in Southeast Asia. In 1915, under the alias of Priyant Thakur, he fled to Japan, where he found shelter in various Pan-Asian groups. For the next 3 years, he would change his residencies and identities numerous times, since the British continued to press for his extradition. Along with A.M. Nair, he was instrumental in persuading the Japanese authorities to stand by the Indian patriots, therefore actively supporting the Indian independence struggle abroad. It was Bose who convened a 2-day conference in Tokyo starting from 28 March 1942, which decided to establish the Indian Independence League. At the conference, he moved a motion to raise an army to fight for Swaraj. On 22nd June 1942, he convened the second conference of the League at Bangkok, Thailand. In this session, a resolution was adopted to invite Subhash Chandra Bose to join the League and to take its command as president. The Indian prisoners of war captured by the Japanese in the Malaya and Burma fronts were encouraged to join the Indian Independence League and become the soldiers of the Indian National Army. The INA was formed on September 1, 1942 as the military wing of Rash Bihari Bose Indian National League. He selected the flag and handed it over to Subhash Chandra Bose. Even though he had handed over his power, his organizational framework remained, serving as the backbone for the League's future operations. Hence, we can say that it was Rash Bihari Bose who laid the foundation of the Indian National Army or the Azad Hind Fauj.
Usha Mehta was another prominent freedom fighter of India. She is mostly remembered for organizing the Congress Radio, also called the Secret Congress Radio, which functioned for a few months during the Quit India movement of 1942. On 14th August 1942, Usha and some of her close associates began the Secret Congress Radio, a clandestine radio station. It started airing on 27th August. Her associates included Vithalbhai Javeri, Chandrakant Javeri, Babubhai Thakkar, and Nanka Motwani, owner of Chicago Radio, who supplied equipment and provided technicians. Many other leaders, including Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, Achyutrao Patwardhan, and Purushottam Trikamdas, also assisted the Secret Congress Radio. The radio broadcast recorded messages from Gandhi and other prominent leaders across India. To elude the authorities, the organizers moved the station's location almost daily. However, the police found them on 12 November 1942 and arrested the organizers, including Usha Mehta. She was sentenced to 4 years imprisonment along with 2 of her associates at Yeravda jail in Pune. Her health deteriorated and she was sent to Bombay for treatment at Sir J.J. Hospital. In the hospital, 3 to 4 policemen kept a round-the-clock watch on her to prevent her from escaping. When her health improved, she was returned to Yeravda jail. In March 1946, she was the first political prisoner to be released in Bombay at the orders of Morarji Desai, who was at that time the Home Minister in the interim government. Although the Secret Congress Radio functioned only for 3 months, it greatly assisted the movement by disseminating uncensored news and other information banned by the British-controlled government of India. Secret Congress Radio also kept the leaders of the freedom movement in touch with the public. Reminiscing about those days, Usha Mehta described her involvement with the Secret Congress Radio as her finest moment and also as her saddest moment because an Indian technician had betrayed them to the authorities. Another prominent leader, the setting to Jawaharlal Nehru's contribution is primarily the Second World War. Here, Lord Linlithgow, Viceroy of India, had committed British India into war without the consultation of the autonomous provincial ministries, which were taken care of by the Indian National Congress. In protest, the INC's High Command decided to withdraw its provincial ministries, leaving the political field open to the Muslim League, presided over by Muhammad Ali Jinnah. This is where Nehru's views stood in contrast to those of Gandhi. While Gandhi believed that India had to support Britain unconditionally for the fight against fascism, Nehru believed that Gandhi's principles of non-violence had no place in any form of defense against Nazi Germany. He made it clear that India could only support Great Britain in a war as a free country, not as slaves to Britain. If India could not help, it should not hinder. Nehru was one of the handful of leaders who was later arrested and sentenced to 4 years imprisonment, although he was released a little more than a year later.
Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Chandra Bose is one of those eminent leaders who made their way into our history textbooks. He formed the All Indian Forward Bloc in 1939. At this point in time, it was faction within the Indian National Congress, not yet an independent organization. The prime prerogative of the forward bloc was to culminate together all the radical elements of the Congress so that he could spread the meaning of complete independence in India in the adherence to the principles of equality and social justice. Regardless of the sharp political difference that Bose had with Mahatma Gandhi, he had deep respect for him. In Berlin, when Subhash Chandra Bose read the news of Gandhi launching Quit India movement, he told his close associate C.N. Ambiar that he needed to be with Gandhi. In his Azad Hind radio message from Berlin, Subhash Chandra Bose had called the Quit India movement of Mahatma Gandhi the non-violent guerrilla warfare. When Kasturba Gandhi, the wife of Mahatma Gandhi, passed away in 1944, Bose issued a statement from Burma declaring her as a mother to the Indian people, showing the sheer admiration that Bose had for Gandhi. In his radio address, while launching attacks on British forces, it was Subhash Chandra Bose who called Mahatma Gandhi the father of the nation. In his last radio address from Burma in 1944, that Subhash Chandra Bose said, "Father of our nation, in this holy war for India's liberation, we ask for your blessings and good wishes." Ram Manohar Lohia. Ram Manohar Lohia is known for being one of the founders of the Congress Socialist Party, a faction of Indian politics which strongly supported socialism. He was also the editor of the Congress Socialist, a newspaper which was press speaker for the party. In 1936, he was inducted into All India Congress Committee by Jawaharlal Nehru as a secretary of the Foreign Department. It was later on that Lohia started to foster his own political standpoint by critically examining the stance of INC, which at time was under Gandhian leadership. In June 1940, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison for delivering anti-war speeches. After his release, he became one of the leading figures of the Central Directorate, which is famous for trying to organize the Quit India movement in 1942. In the last phase of British rule in India, he worked with the secret Congress radio, which was broadcast from various places in Bombay until 1942.
Thank you. I would like to quote Jawaharlal Nehru. Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge. At the stroke of the midnight hour when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. I unquote. Back in 1947, on the eve of independence, towards the midnight of 14th August, was given a speech by the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, where he asked the people to dedicate themselves to the service of their country and the whole mankind, and also reminded them of their various responsibilities. With the same spirit of nationalism infused into us by our national leaders, let's continue our program. We now have the choir for the patriotic song.
वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू, ए वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू। मैं जहाँ रहूँ जहाँ में याद रहे तू, मैं जहाँ रहूँ जहाँ में याद रहे तू। ए वतन मेरे वतन, ए वतन मेरे वतन। मंजिल है पहचान तुझी से, तू ही मेरी मंजिल है पहचान तुझी से। पहुँचूं मैं जहाँ भी मेरी बुनियाद रहे तू, पहुँचूं मैं जहाँ भी मेरी बुनियाद रहे तू। ऐ वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू, मैं जहाँ रहूँ जहाँ में याद रहे तू। मेरे वतन, ए वतन मेरे वतन। जहां में याद रहे तू। ए वतन मेरे वतन, ए वतन मेरे वतन, आबाद रहे तू वतन, आबाद रहे तू मेरे वतन, ए वतन मेरे वतन, ए वतन मेरे वतन।
Thank you. We now have Tushar A.D. Rao, the school captain, to illuminate our souls with the light of nationalism on this occasion of Independence Day.
A radiant good morning to all my fellow patriots. It is with immense joy, a light heart, and a dash of hope that I wish you all a happy Independence Day. As we celebrate the 75th Independence Day of our motherland, we are reminded of the hard work, the struggle, and the sacrifice that culminated to our independence. Right from the staggering outbursts of 1857 to the jubilant cries for freedom in 1947, the fierce bravery of the Rani of Jhansi to the unrelenting brawl with the Tiger of Mysore, from eminent leader to common man alike, India's fight for freedom was a struggle of such unprecedented magnitude that a single nation stood up to an entire empire. In lieu of all our predecessors faced for our liberation, the simple fact that we exist as an independent nation is cause for rejoice. It's not often that a nation having stared oppression dead in the eye for close to 2 centuries comes out the other end victorious. And increasingly rare are those souls who have sacrificed everything they could for the liberation of a captivated nation. Every year on this very same joyous day, we raise slogans and hoist flags. We mourn for those we lost and smile for those that remain. We dress up in ethnics, make special meals, organize events, and find a way to display every last ounce of patriotic zeal that one can ever amass. We look up to the triumphantly unfurled tricolor with hopeful pride and carry home with us its tiny replicas, those bits of tricolored paper fixed on wooden sticks, and as young children do, wave it with innocent enthusiasm. As delightful those experiences are to bring to our memory, there is one single ideology that we must all live by. That India is not defined through its flag alone. India is not represented solely through emblems, seals or stamps, monuments, bridges or land. These are what build a country, but it is the people who build a nation. India is defined by its vast multitude of cultures, traditions, people, ideologies. Its soul is a manifestation of the aspirations of its citizens. And this is freedom at its purest, possessing the precious ability to define a nation through the actions of its citizens alone, is freedom at its most irrefutable power. It is our privilege to have the freedom to serve a nation of billions through our simplest of actions alone. To empathize and help those suffering droughts by simply saving water. To do something for our farmers. To strive for the advancement of the nation simply through education. The very meaning of freedom lies in our actions, its very essence in our hands. It is easy to mistake patriotism as a mere simple feeling, while in truth, it is the culmination, the sum total of all a person has done for the advancement of the nation. Patriotism isn't necessarily an aggressive outburst, but a result of simple day-to-day actions that we partake in, small commitments we make, tiny changes we make to our lifestyle and to our mindset that over time compound to great service. Next time you see a young child running around jubilantly, waving the mini tricolor ecstatically, remember that that very child builds the nation tomorrow. Look in the mirror and realize that we are no different. We are the difference between a country and a global superpower, and it is our work that builds that nation. As long as we continue to strive for the things that really matter, we all are, in our own right, free, unshackled, independent patriots. Once again, on this morning, tinkling with joyous pride, I take the opportunity to wish you all a truly delightful Independence Day. As we bask in the sunlit present of freedom, I wish you all a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Tushar. That truly did infuse in each one of us the spirit and essence of patriotism. Bharat. Have you ever wondered how India came to be named Bharat? India is known as Bharat Ganarajya in Sanskrit. That's why the country is popularly named Bharat in Hindi. The word Bharat fills our mind with all the diverse colors and people who live in the country. It is the culture of India which makes it distinguished from others. The food, the people, the language, the festivals, the folk songs, the dances, and so many other things which add to the beauty and glory of magnificent India. To present before you the celebration of a diversified India where there's unity in diversity, we have the grade 10 students performing a group dance.
तलवारों पे सरवार दिए, अंगारों में जिस्म जलाया है, तब जाके कहीं हमने सर पे ये केसरी रंग सजाया है। ऐ मेरी ज़मीं अफसोस नहीं जो तेरे लिए 100 दर्द सहे, महफूज रहे तेरी आन सदा चाहे जान मेरी ये रहे ना रहे। मेरी ज़मीं महबूब मेरी, मेरी नस नस में तेरा इश्क बहे, फीका ना पड़े कभी रंग तेरा जिस्मों से निकल के खून कहे। तेरी मिट्टी में मिल जावा गुल बन के मैं खिल जावा, इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू। तेरी नदियों में बह जावा तेरे खेतों में लहरावा, इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू।
Thank you, friends, that indeed did justice to the commendable culture of our Bharat. At the hour of midnight on 14th August 1947, Jawaharlal Nehru sowed the seeds of independence in the hearts of Indians. Now we have our very own principal, Mr. Jayaprakash Sir, to reinstill the same feelings inside us with his motivating and energizing speech.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable and most respected Dr. Nisar Ahmed, Chancellor, Presidency University and Chairman, Presidency Group of Institutions, Madam Chancellor Ms. Kausar Ahmed, Mr. Suhail Ahmed, Vice Chairman, PGI, Mrs. Nafisa Ahmed, Director, PGI, Mr. Salman Ahmed, Vice President, Presidency University, Mr. Shah, Management Trustee, Ms. Aziza Iza, Senior General Manager, Office of the Director, PGI, Dr. Tangu Durai, Director of Presidency Group of Schools and Principal of Presidency School, Kasturi Nagar, Ms. J. Bhunechuri, Principal, Presidency School, Bilakahalli, and Director, Presidency School, Mangalore, Mrs. Susan Roy Thomas, Principal of St. Paul's English School, JP Nagar, Ms. Asha Maika, Principal, Presidency School, RT Nagar, Ms. Sandhya Raman, Principal, Presidency School, Banashankari, Mr. Ramesh Mudgal, Principal, Presidency School, Yelahanka, Ms. Shaila Saldana, Principal, Presidency School, Mangalore, dear parents, dearest students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. At the very outset, let me wish you all a happy 75th Independence Day. As I drove on the roads of Bengaluru, I saw many children running at the traffic signals, waving the tricolor flags and trying to cajole passers-by to buy them. The windows of the car would roll down and someone would give them little change in lieu of the flags. This made me ponder on the eve of 75th Independence Day. Have we truly achieved our independence? While we have claimed our sovereignty from the foreign rule many years ago, but do we truly have freedom of living in a dignified manner? Every day, we experience this disparity closely, but we have become so immune to it that we turn a blind eye towards it. In a nation where manual scavenging is still a profession for many, casteism still rampant with many not having access to basic amenities like education and sanitation, we need to ask ourselves, what does independence truly mean? Even after so many years of independence, women cannot venture out to pursue education or careers due to the fear for their own safety. They are not free to express their opinions without being trolled, whether online or offline. Independence Day doesn't mean one day of nationalistic pride. It means a commitment to serve the nation in a truly inclusive way. We salute the brave hearts and heroes who fought in the freedom struggle, but they dreamt of a nation of peace and harmony where people prospered. Until and unless we eradicate these social evils, intolerance and learn to accept differences and celebrate them, the people in the country cannot prosper. I hope that someday I will see those kids hoisting the national flags in their schools and not selling them on traffic signals, which would be trampled upon in any case by cars the next day. It is our duty to make the dream of a progressive nation with all citizens having equal rights to live with dignity come true. What most of us seem to believe is success means to have, whereas I feel success means to live. Because you cannot be happy by what you have, but you can be happy only with how you live. The BMW car does not make you happy, but it is where you drive and for what you drive that makes you happy. It is not the Rolex, Omega or Rado watches that make you happy, but how you utilize the time for good deeds that makes you happy. It is not the iPhone 12 Pro Max that makes you happy, but it is to whom you speak and what you speak that makes you happy. It is not the large mansion that makes you happy, but how you live in that house and how your relationship is with the other people in the house that makes you happy. Success is not about having. Success is about living and about giving. We keep complaining that ours is a poor country, but what are we doing to bring about any change in that status? Nothing. Are we helping the needy around us to stand on their own feet? Individual successes do not make the country succeed as a whole. Remember, giving is living, and living thus is succeeding, not having or possessing. Once again, I wish you all a very happy Independence Day. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Songs have always played an unmatched role in our freedom struggle by infusing the sentiments of patriotism in individuals. As our country celebrates its glorious 75th Independence Day today, we shall now celebrate it by a heartening national song, Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram is no less than an epic for our country and holds a special place in the heart of every Indian. The first two words of the title itself are sufficient to induce a great feeling of patriotism. Now I would like to call the teachers to render our national song Vande Mataram, the one which won India's heart as its war cry of freedom.
वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् सुजलां सुफलां मलयज शीतलां सस्यश्यामला
Thank you, teachers. I would now like to call upon Sai Raksha for the vote of thanks.
Patriotism is not short, frenzied outbursts of emotions, but the tranquil and steady dedication of a lifetime. Freedom is one of the deepest and noblest aspirations of human spirit. Patriotism is the legacy of heroes, the memory of a great name, and the inheritance of a great example. Similar to patriotism, gratitude is the inheritance of blessings. The easiest arithmetic to master is the one which enables us to count our blessings. Give thanks for a little and you'll find a lot. I consider it my immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks for the Independence Day program 2021. I deem it my honor to thank Dr. Nisar Ahmed, Chairman of Presidency Group of Institutions and Chancellor of Presidency University. I heartily thank Madam Chancellor Kausar Ahmed. I feel privileged to thank Mr. Suhail Ahmed, Vice Chairman of Presidency Group of Institutions. I extend my gratitude to Ms. Nafisa Ahmed, Director of Presidency Group of Institutions. I express my appreciation for Mr. Salman Ahmed, Vice President, Presidency University. I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Tanveer Ahmed, CEO of Mitra Academy and Little Flower School. I would also like to thank Mr. Satyanarayan, the Management Representative. I consider it my honor to thank Mr. Shah, the Management Trustee, for gracing the occasion with his presence. I would like to express my wholehearted gratitude to Ms. Aziza Isa, Senior General Manager, Office of the Director, Presidency Group of Institutions. I would also like to thank Mr. Tangadurai, Director of Presidency Group of Institutions and Principal of Presidency School, Kasturi Nagar. I am delighted to thank Ms. Bhuvaneshwari, Principal of Presidency School, Bilekahalli and Director of Presidency School, Mangalore and Presidency School, Bangalore South. I wish to convey my thanks to Ms. Susan Roy Thomas, Principal of St. Paul's School, JP Nagar. I take immense pleasure in thanking Ms. Asha Meka, Principal of Presidency School, RT Nagar. My deep and special thanks to Ms. Shaila, Principal, Presidency School, Mangalore. I extend my gratitude to Ms. Ramesh Mudgal, Principal of Presidency School, Bangalore North. I am much obliged to Ms. Sandhya Raman, Principal of Presidency School, Banashankari. We can either complain because rose bushes have thorns or rejoice because thorns have roses. Looking back at these enigmatic times, they have opened a door of possibilities. I am extremely grateful to our dear principal, Mr. Jayaprakash sir, for sowing the seeds of creativity and motivating us. I extend my gratitude to our coordinators, Ms. Nagamani, Ms. Shanti Manjunath, and Ms. Yamini ma'am. I thank our dear teachers for inspiring us to work with passion, patience, and perseverance. I hope my gratitude reaches our non-teaching staff, support staff, and all the people who have worked behind the frame to make this program effective. I also take this opportunity to thank all our dear parents who have supported and nurtured us throughout life. As we draw curtains to this ceremony, I quote Bhagat Singh. Revolution is an inalienable right of mankind. Freedom is an imperishable birthright of all. The sword of revolution is sharpened on the whetting stone of ideas. I unquote. Our country is a tune. It must be sung together. May your spirits rise with the flag today. Happy Independence Day.
Thank you, Sai Raksha. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose once said, "One individual may die for an idea, but that idea will after his death incarnate itself in 1,000 lives." The Independence Day is celebrated every year to remind the younger generation of their responsibilities and duties as citizens of India. With determination and courage, the freedom fighters and many more unsung heroes struggled to free our country from the British. They were the ones who sacrificed their lives for the country, seldom thinking about their own self. On this day, every citizen of India pays a tribute to them and their innumerable sacrifices, something which will continue to remain in the hearts of millions for generations to come. Thank you. This is Sinchana Suresh wishing you a great Independence Day. Stay safe and Jai Hind.